Hello guys, welcome to our Python tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're going to talk about Python by itself. We're not talking about how to use Python to code anything in Maya or any other program. It's just about Python itself. I think it's time that we talk about it without any other context, so we know the basic foundations of the program. And so we can start with this Jupyter. Whoops. Jupyter is, or Jupyter, this is basically a IDE, and IDE is integrated development environment. Basically a text editor that allows you or give you more powerful features like auto completion, for example. So go to the, and also the compiler also can be integrated into the IDE so that it can compile very, very easily. And you don't have to use like the compiler itself. Anyway, that's something that we don't have to understand yet. Go to the project Jupyter here, and then you just try it in your browser. And then you can see it's not just for Python. It's for like others, like even CPP or this R language. But let's go with Python here. So it's gonna go open a new window, and it's gonna go through this loading process of loading the modules and repositories that's needed, like the dependence that Python needs to have to work with. All right, so you have to wait for this to finish, and down here you have some documentation on how to use this notebook, which is basically the IDE. And there are other things, like they have this IPython, which has more features implemented and has all those other useful tips and tricks. But anyway, it's also here. So what we do here is we just go ahead and go to File and New Notebook and Python 3. Python 3 is a newer version of Python. Most of the system we use in like in Maya or in Modo, Mari, Nuke, 3ds Max, those are using Python 2. There are differences that, you know, that doesn't take a lot of time for you to figure out. If your code doesn't work, just search for like Python 2 to do that, like, you know. So there are minor differences in our case. Let's start with what most of the books will talk about first, which is how to print out something, the famous hello world statement, right? So what we do here is just type in print, and then parentheses, and then quotation mark, and hello world. Oops. Okay. And then you can either just click on this run, or you can also control enter to do that. And you can see that's gonna be what the code does. Okay, so you can see hello world got printed. Okay, now here a lot of things has happened. First of all, print is here a function. A function is something you can call to do something, just like the name says. It has some functionality, and this function is print out something, and you're asking it to print out this hello world. For any function, it does have this very unique signature. You have the name of the function, the parentheses will be having the argument you pass in for the function, okay, and this hello world is what this print can take as argument. Okay, so basically you're telling the print function, okay, print function, print out hello world. Okay, another thing that's happening here is that the hello world is inside of quotation mark. That's because print function takes a certain type of argument. Type is important in almost all languages, including Python, but Python is super flexible with type. It can automatically, you know, change the type, but still type is something everyone has to know and has to understand. So hello world is a type of string, basically a sequence of letters. So hello world is a sequence of letters, right? And you put them into quotation mark. That basically is making a string type argument and passed into the print function for it to print out. Okay. All right, let me go ahead and create yet a new line. And then we can print out whatever you want. Like here, I can print the number 3, okay, and then we can run it. You can see 3 got printed. Now notice that this 3 doesn't have quotation mark around it because this 3 is actually a different type. It's an integer. An integer is a different data type that basically represents a number. Okay. So there are many different data types, integer, and this is string. You can print float numbers. So you can print out like 3.3. And this one with the decimal here basically is having a number that is possible of having like, infinite number of smaller values. And you can print it out like that. Now those two are different, although they're all numbers. Okay. And we are not only limited to those different types. There are many other possible types. Okay. And you can create custom types if you wanted to. And those are called classes, which we'll talk about maybe in the future. Anyway, so if you want to print something like some string, right, like this with quotation mark inside of it, it may prove it difficult. Like if you try to do that now, like try to print I am happy of, and you want to quotation mark something else, and it doesn't even allow me to type it. Anyway, if I want to have something inside of these two quotation mark, right, I can say hey, but you can see this hey is not even color coded as the other ones have. And if I run this now, I even got a syntax error because it doesn't know what this is, because the hey is basically not inside of this string anymore. It's considered this part as a string and this part as a string. This hey is between those two strings. Okay, so that's not gonna work. What you have to do is actually have this slash here, okay, to fix that problem. So this will tell Python, okay, I'm not gonna actually have a new string here. I'm basically using this as part of the this single string, and if you run it now, you can see the hey now have the quotation mark. This is with that. Okay, cool. So that's basically printing. So printing is mostly used for getting information, asking questions for the user, or basically debugging. There are more you can talk about with print, but for now we can just keep it as simple as this, and moving on to the next video we're going to talk about some other concepts. Okay, see you next time.